Hello everyone, it's Brett here, Lionheart84, and it's a beautiful day. We're filming this on the 7th of September, so this is the third instalment of the fig pinching video series I've been doing. This is just over 90 days now. And just having a look at this branch here, and you can see this fig was one of the tips that I pinched to try and prove or get the pinching experiment to work, and it hasn't been successful this year. I think all of the tips that I pinched that started to produce main crop figs early. All of the figs like this one dried up and were aborted by the tree. So I just wanted to try it for people who perhaps haven't watched the series and don't understand what the pinching is meant to do. I just wanted to quickly run through the reason I think this hasn't worked this year. Excuse me. The reason it hasn't worked this year due to our freak summer conditions we had, and what the state of the other main crop figs are on the tree from branches that weren't pinched. Now, the theory behind it, there's a difference between, for people who don't know, there's a difference between pinching and just regular pruning or tip removing. Now, the whole idea of pinching is you try to force the fig to produce main crop figs slightly earlier than it otherwise would. Now, if you leave these branches to their own devices on a mature fig tree, the tree will still produce figs, main crop figs, but in this climate in our country they tend to be too late to actually reach maturity before the end of our growing season. So when you're trying, let me see if I can find another branch to do this so we can have a look. The idea is, when the fig starts growing here, late May, early June, to do the tips that you're going to prune to pinch, you look for branches that have got two. They're not actually on this one, I'm just using this as an example branch. Early in the growing season, you look for branches where there are twin buds in the leaf axil, probably about 3 or 4 leaves from the tip of the branch, and one of those buds will be a new growing bud, and the other one should be an embryo fig. Now, if you leave the tree to its own devices and don't pinch off the tips, though that bud will still develop into a fig, but it normally doesn't start to develop until about 3 or 4 weeks later. So if you pinch in the beginning of if you don't pinch at the beginning of June, figs like this one will start to develop in sort of mid to late July. And because our growing season ends sort of middle to end of September, or active growing season for figs, the figs have no chance, like this one here, of reaching maturity. This is a main crop fig here, but there is no way, now that we're in the first week of September, is this one going to reach an edible size by the end of September. Now, had this branch been pinched early in June, then the embryo fig starts to develop almost immediately, which means you've got an extra month's growing time. Now, if you pinch a shoot that hasn't got double buds, all you'll get coming out of these single buds will be a growing point. So you have to pick specific shoots that have got the twin buds already present, otherwise you're not going to see the main crops develop early. Now, as that branch I showed you, which had that dried out fig on it, all of the ones that I pinched, I think all the ones I pinched, the figs have been aborted. Now, that's not because there's anything wrong with the process. The process works. The problem is we have had freak summer growing conditions here this year for us. Very unusual for the UK. We had record temperatures in certainly in July, but also in my particular area we had a real drought, and I probably don't think I saw rain for about 8 weeks, which is almost unheard of in the southeast of the UK. And when we had a few drops of rain, it was literally a few spots. Now, obviously, my in-container fig trees have been kept well hydrated. Until we had the hose strike, I was watering them regularly, so they're looking very good. So if I walk over here, you can see that the ones in containers are they're heavily covered actually in main crop figs, but unfortunately none of these figs are going to reach maturity. But my in-grounds tree, I didn't water it because I thought that being as it's in ground and the roots would go down into the ground, that it would probably not be suffering from drought. But in actual fact, all of the figs that were developing earlier on it seem to have been aborted. And I said it doesn't seem to be anything to do with the actual pinching process. That would appear because the plant has suffered from a lack of hydration. It's probably not been able to get down to where the water table is, because the water table will have dropped so much this time of the year. So whilst we've still got main crop figs developing on it, such as there's a remote possibility some of these may be ready in October, depending on how mild September and October are. Now we're getting heavy, we've had some heavy rainfalls and the ground's getting more hydrated. These should continue to grow. The problem will be if we start getting cold spells late in September, it tends to send fig trees into dormancy a little bit early, and once they go into dormancy they cut the sap flow off to these figs here, and then that leaves you with these embryo figs at the end of the branches, which are the ones you leave which survive over winter here and form your Braber crops early in the spring. Figs like this size here, if they don't ripen, they will not survive the winter. The sap flow gets cut off and they basically stay on the tree, but they turn yellow and shrivel up and dry out, and they can't form edible fruits next year because once the sap has been cut off, the fig's too dry to do anything. But these ones here would be, if this plant went into dormancy now, these are the Braber ones that will survive over winter and form the early crop. So I will continue to try pinching each year. I will pinch the plant next year on the assumption that we don't get another freak summer with record temperatures and record low rainfall, because in normal circumstances I think the tree would have developed those fruits that I pinched, and they should have been getting close to being ready in the next week or two. So it's a bit unfortunate, but I'm learning as well. Had I known, I could probably have watered the tree more heavily in July and early August, and perhaps those fruits would not have been aborted by the tree. So this was part 3 of the fig pinching experiment. It hasn't proved successful in terms of getting ripe this year, but it has proved that it forced the plant to produce what would have been main crop figs earlier. It's just I've been sunk by the weather. So we'll try again next year, and hopefully we will get more main crop figs in September. And of course next year, now that these trees in the pots are getting to a decent size and getting quite vigorous, obviously I will try to reduce the number of figs on these and do some pinching on these and see if I can force them into producing a few fruits for me, because I'm not going to get to taste these ones this year because they're not advanced enough. So thanks for watching the third part of the video. There won't be another section, but I'll do a fig pinching video next summer, of course, early on a couple of plants, and see if we get anywhere with them. So thanks for watching the video, and if you've watched the set of 3 videos, thanks for watching those. Obviously they appeared about the 5th of June and I think the 5th of July and the 5th of August. Should you wish to go back and watch them, they'll be in my fig playlist. Thank you for watching. Please give me a thumbs up. Again, remember to subscribe to my channel. You can share the video if you think it might be useful to fig growers in the UK or elsewhere where there's a cooler climate, and click on the bell if you like updates on new videos as they come out. I'll catch up with you all soon. Brett out for now.